Portugal began the African slave trade in Europe about 50 years before Columbus arrived in the Americas. The Portuguese called their slaves Negroes, the Portuguese word for black. When African slaves were first brought to the Americas, they called themselves Africans, but the slave masters called them Negroes. That was the official name, and that held for 3 centuries, eventually yielding some space for the use of the word colored. The National Association for the Advancement of Colored People was established in 1909. The United Negro College Fund was established in 1944. Then came the Civil Rights Movement and those words. After 20 years of black, Jesse Jackson and some leading scholars decided in the late 1980s that it was time for the final name change to African American. At a news conference, Jesse Jackson called to announce a campaign with the goal of establishing the term African American as the proper descriptive term. He said, just as we're called colored, but we're not that, and then Negro, but we're not that, to be called black is just as baseless. Black tells you about skin color and what side of town you live on. African American evokes discussion of the world. Jesse Jackson went on to say that day, every ethnic group in this country has a reference to some land base, some historical cultural base.
My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge.
Why?
Mama, it's just a symbol of Jesus.
Well, hello, symbol, and goodbye. The only Jesus I know is here.
Mama, how do we know Jesus wasn't black? He could have been from the lost tribe of Israel. They were supposed to be black.
I bet they were. If ever people were lost, we're it.
But he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
This picture has been in my family for as long as I can remember. When I was a baby, I don't know what I saw first. My mama, my papa, or this Jesus. Now, he's the one I know and love, so let's close the subject. Jesus was black, the Bible would have said so.
But it does say so.
What are you talking about?
I read about it. It's in Revelation chapter 1, verse 14. Oh. His hair is like wool, and his eyes are like flame of fire.
Oh, Lord have mercy. It sure do say that, don't it?
Questions?
Hey, watch it, baby. This cat is heavy on religion.
I can see this has become a struggle between good and evil. Satan has a question.
Yes, sir, Chaplain Gill, but since neither one of us are God, I don't think either one of us are in any position to say who's good and who's evil.
Why don't you just ask your question?
We were discussing the disciples. What color were they?
Well, I don't think we know that for certain.
But they were Hebrews, were they not?
That's right.
As was Jesus. Jesus was also a Hebrew.
Why don't you just ask your question?
What color were the original Hebrews?
I have told you that we don't know that for certain.
Then you can't believe for certain. Because history teaches us that Jesus was born in a region where the people had color. There's proof in the very Bible that you ask us to read in Revelation's 1st chapter, verse 14 and 15, that Jesus had hair like wool and feet the color of brass.
Just what are you saying?
I'm not saying anything. I'm proving to you that Jesus was not, and I might quote one of our Indian brothers, he was not a paleface.
Aha.
Amen.
Isn't that interesting?
things are getting much better, but I always wonder when I went to church on Sundays. I've always been one to, I'm not just a boxer. I do a lot of reading, a lot of studying. I ask questions. I travel these countries. I watch how their people live, and I learn. And I always ask my mother, I said, Mother, how come is everything white? I said, why is Jesus white with blonde hair and blue eyes? Why is the Lord's Supper all white men? Angels are white. Pope and Mary and even the angels. I said, Mother, when we die, do we go to heaven? She said, naturally we go to heaven. I said, well, what happened to all the black angels when they took the pictures? Why? You know, Tarzan is the king of the jungle in Africa. He was white. And here's Tarzan talking to the animals, and the Africans been there for centuries, and he yet can't talk to the animals. Only Tarzan can talk to the animals. I always wonder why Miss America was always white. All the beautiful brown women in America, beautiful suntans, beautiful shapes, all type complexions, but she always was white. And Miss World was always white. And Miss Universe was always white. And then they got some stuff called White House cigars, White Swan soap, King White soap, White Cloud tissue paper, White Rain hair rinse, White Tornado flow wax. Everything was white. And the angel food cake was the white cake, and the devil food cake was the chocolate cake. All was white. And everything bad was black. The little ugly duckling was a black duck, and the black cat was the bad luck. And if I threaten you, I'm going to blackmail you. I said, Mama, why don't they call it white mail? They lie too.
Hebrew Israelite people.
I'd like an answer to the question, Judge.
The court will wait for an answer.
Were the Hebrew Israelite people of color, or were they white?
You don't have to answer that question.
I'll answer the question. You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
Gosh darn it.
What's the matter?
Well, there's a light up there somewhere, and I'm too short to reach the string to turn it on.
Well, maybe I could help you.
Yeah, well, how are you going to help me? You're shorter than I am.
Well, listen, what if you found something to stand on? That'd make you tall enough to reach the string.
Yeah, oh, that's a good idea, but how are we going to find anything in the dark? I mean...
Well, I don't know. Let's feel around.
Let's feel around. Okay, let me see here.
Hey, maybe this. What? No, it's no good. It's full of feathers.
Yeah, well, let me see. Oh, here's something might work.
What you got?
Well, I'm not sure. It feels like a sardine.
It'd be too slippery. You'd fall off.
I don't want to stand a sardine.
Hey, here's something.
Wait, what is it?
I don't know. It feels like a box.
A box? Oh, hey, it sure does, doesn't it?
Well, what are you waiting for? Get up on it.
Yeah, okay. I'll fall down if I get up
No, you
there.
won't. Come on, get up there.
Okay, here
Go ahead.
Oh, right. Oh, I told you it'd fall.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hey, I got an idea.
What is it?
I'll hold it steady to keep it from falling.
Yeah, all right, good idea. You holding it?
Yeah.
Here I go.
Go ahead.
All right.
Okay, climb up.
Hey, we did it.
Huh?
Look at that. I can reach the string.
Hey, terrific.
Is that terrific?
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm going to turn on the light. Here I go. Yuck.
black people here in America, what do we have? Because what we have is another identity, not from where we came from, per se.
Yeah.
We have a whole nother identity, a whole nother structure that we're trying to now establish. Right. And that establishment goes back to what I said.
And that is that there is an identity crisis within the black community, especially among young black men, surrounding the question of what it means to really be black, to truly be a black man. And it stems back from, since we were brought to this country as slaves, our history, our culture was stolen from us. We were told we were over in Africa acting like monkeys, and then until whites graciously civilized us. And we were told that being black is synonymous with the bottom, with what's worst, with dysfunction. It was synonymous with being ignorant, with being irresponsible, with being poor, with being violent, with being subhuman. And sadly, this was not taught to one generation of blacks. This was taught to 10, 15 generations. And today, that mentality still is prevalent among many African Americans. We see it with young black children who grow up and they're speaking proper English, they're striving in school to be great students. They're derided by other blacks for acting white. When The Cosby Show was a hit, you know, Bill Cosby, a lawyer, his wife a doctor, many blacks said they're not a real black family. We hear it in hip hop. Some of the artists we've had on this show sitting in this very chair, every song they make, they promote negative, false stereotypes about black people, that an authentic black man is a pimp, a thug, a gangster, a criminal. But that's because they don't really know their identity is messed up. And as long as black people feel that way, we're never going to be all that we can.
Goodness gracious, Lord have mercy. The devil's on the move and the world's gone crazy. Yeah. Police in the street shooting down black babies.
In the good old days. In the good old days.
Glory, hallelujah.
In the good old days. I love the old days. You know what they used to do to guys like that when they were in a place like this? They'd be carried out on a stretcher, folks. That's true.
Knocking the hell out of that big mouth. The next time we see him, we might have to kill him.
I am the law and order candidate. In the good old days, in the good old days, in the good old days.
בראשית ברא אלוהים את השמיים ואת הארץ.
In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be light." And there was light.
And it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth,
And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually.
Spencer Wells, a geneticist with National Geographic, will lead us on a journey to identify the scientific Adam. The research shows the Y chromosome can take us back hundreds of years. But to find scientific Adam, we must trace a man from our very beginning who fathered not millions, but billions. For centuries, artists have depicted him like this, like a European. For many of us, this is Adam, Michelangelo's famous painting in the Vatican Sistine Chapel. Comparing this Y chromosome to thousands of men from all over the world reveals a critical discovery. These mutations, originating in Africa, appear on every Y chromosome in every man in the world today. These are the universal mutations we've been looking for. We followed the DNA trail all the way to the bottom of the tree. Every branch leads to one man, one Y chromosome. In fact, all the Y chromosomes in the world trace back to this one man. He is scientific Adam. The critical discoveries of where and when Adam lived prove he could not have looked like this. To do this accurately, Bender turns to technology developed for security applications like anti-terrorism. Facial recognition software measures the incremental differences that make a face unique. A printer converts the computer model into a 3D head. Now Frank Bender can show us what he might have looked like. His goal is not just to sculpt Adam, but to reveal his personality. Finally, Wells comes face to face with the man he's been searching for, Adam. Without the skull, we can't know for sure what Adam looked like. But a combination of genetic evidence, Bender's forensic skills, and cutting-edge computer software suggests he looks something like this. Thousands of years after the Bible, and hundreds of years after Michelangelo, we have a whole new face for Adam.
But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. These are the generations of Noah. Noah was a just man and perfect in his generations, and Noah walked with God. And Noah begat 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And the Lord said unto Noah, Come thou and all thy house into the ark, for thee have I seen righteous before me in this generation. And Noah went in, and his sons, and his wife, and his sons' wives went into the ark because of the waters of the flood. Noah only remained alive, and they that were with him in the ark. The waters prevailed upon the earth 150 days. And in the 2nd month, on the 27th day of the month, was the earth dried. And God spake unto Noah, saying, Go forth of the ark, thou, and thy wife, and thy sons wives with thee. And Noah went forth, and his sons, and his wife, and his sons' wives with him. And God blessed Noah and his sons, and said unto them, Be fruitful, and multiply, and replenish the earth. And of them was the whole earth overspread. Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And unto them were sons born after the flood. The sons of Japheth, Gomer and Magog and Madai and Javan and Tubal and Meshech and Tyrus. And the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz and Riphath and Togarmah. And the sons of Javan, Elisha and Tarshish, Kittim and Dodanim. By these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their lands, every one after his tongue, after their families, in their nations.
אשכנז. זה השם שלו? אשכנזים.
אשכנזים.
אז זה אנחנו.
גם אשכנזים. אנחנו לא מדגישים את זה. אנחנו לא, אצלנו התחתנו אשכנזים עם ספרדים ולא, זה לא מורגש בכלל.
מאירופה, מאיפה באים? מאירופה הם באים, לא מאסיה. מאירופה.
לבן, צפוני, בורגני.
את אומרת לי מה שאני, את חושבת שאני רוצה לשמוע?
לא, זה מה שאני מרגישה. אני?
אשכנזים זה כל הלבנים.
Then did Solomon build an high place for Chemosh, the abomination of Moab, in the hill that is before Jerusalem, and for Molech, the abomination of the children of Ammon.
שחורים זה כל המזרחיים. שחורים זה כל המזרחיים.
And the sons of Ham, Cush, and Mizraim, and Phut, and Canaan. And the sons of Cush, Seba, and Havilah, and Sabta, and Raamah, and Sabteka. And the sons of Raamah, Sheba, and Dedan. And Cush begat Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the earth. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord. And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, and Erech, and Akkad, and Calneh, in the land of Shinar. Out of that land went forth Asher, and builded Nineveh, and the city Rehoboth, and Calah, and Resen between Nineveh and Calah, the same as a great city. And Mizraim begat Ludim, and Anamim, and Lehabim, and Naphtuhim, and Pathrusim, and Cashluhim, out of whom came Philistim, and Caphtorim. And Canaan begat Sidon, his firstborn, and Heth, and the Jebusite, and the Amorite, and the Girgasite, and the Hivite, and the Archite, and the Sinite, and the Arbadite, and the Zemarite, and the Hamathite. And afterward were the families of the Canaanites spread abroad. And the border of the Canaanites was from Sidon as thou comest to Gerar unto Gaza, as thou goest unto Sodom and Gomorrah, and Admah, and Zeboim, even unto Lasha. These are the sons of Ham, after their families, after their tongues, in their countries, and in their nations. Shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand, a nation of fierce countenance. Scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth even unto the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone, even wood and stone, even wood and stone, and stone. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen. And no man shall buy you.
For slaves, life on a slave ship during the Middle Passage was a nightmare. Even crew members were shocked by the conditions in the slave holds.
When I had to enter the slave deck, I was forced to crawl over the slaves. The Negroes are frequently packed so close together that they have not so much room as a man in his coffin. I was so overcome with the heat, dense and foul air that I nearly fainted. It was only with assistance I could get on deck.
Unto Shem also, the father of all the children of Eber, the brother of Japheth the elder, even to him were children born. The children of Shem, Elam and Asher and Arphaxad and Lud and Aram, and the children of Aram, Uz and Hul and Gether and Man. And Arphaxad begat Salah, and Salah begat Eber. And unto Eber were born two sons. The name of one was Peleg, for in his days was the earth divided. His brother's name was Joktan. And Joktan begat Almodad and Sheleph, and Hazar-Maveth and Jerah, and Hadoram, and Uzal, and Diklah, and Obal, and Abimael, and Sheba, and Ophir, and Havilah, and Jobab. All these were the sons of Joktan. And their dwelling was from Mesha, as thou goest unto Sephar, a mount of the east. These are the sons of Shem, after their families, after their tongues, in their lands, after their nations. These are the families of the sons of Noah, after their generations, in their nations, and by these were the nations divided in the earth after the flood. The fruit of thy land and all thy labors shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up, and thou shalt be only oppressed and crushed alway.
In the early 20th century, a black middle-class community called Greenwood thrived in Tulsa, Oklahoma, despite segregation and Jim Crow laws.
Booker T. Washington declared Greenwood as a Negro Wall Street of America.
But all of Greenwood's achievements and successes were destroyed during a night of murder and mayhem.
It was never in the history books or anything, and yet it was the biggest riot that we've ever had in America.
As we go in search of history, we'll uncover a little-known event that was one of the worst racial riots in American history.
The evidence is strong that airplanes were used in the riot. Some say that bombs were dropped. Others say that nitroglycerin was dropped to propel the fires that were going.
What is certain in the aftermath of the riot is that Greenwood has been permanently altered.
At that point, you had a city that was changed forever. Nearly 50 square blocks had been burned to the ground. Nearly a tenth of the population was held under armed guard at internment centers.
In less than 24 hours, a marauding white mob has transformed a black promised land into a smoldering wasteland. Release of the African Americans from the detention centers. But to gain their freedom, African Americans must wear specially issued tags signed by their employers.
Most folks, once they were released from the internment centers, came back, got busy, and got to work again rebuilding their community.
But rebuilding would not be easy in the face of the awesome destruction.
After the riot, because there was so much devastation in the Greenwood community, including a lot of homes, a lot of the victims of the riot literally lived in tent cities.
And the most important event that they did, the most important action that the Reconstruction Commission did, was to try and steal the land where the black community had been, to use that as an industrial park or as the site of a new railroad station.
To accomplish this goal, a new fire ordinance is enacted mandating all construction meet tough new requirements. The additional costs of these requirements would make rebuilding Greenwood nearly impossible for its residents. Bolstered by the grand jury report laying the blame on African Americans, White Tulsa goes on as if nothing has happened. The African Americans of Tulsa are again segregated in Greenwood, left to rebuild on their own with no city assistance.
All the time when the city is trying to steal their land, Black Tulsans are busy. They're building their homes out of packing crates. They're building their homes out of any sort of lumber that they can get.
But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.